Hi, welcome to the H4RL Career Podcast. I'm Jill.
And I'm Dave.
And today we're going to talk about how to make your life count. Most of us want to feel like we have some greater purpose, some meaning in our lives, like we are making a difference. And often this is connected with our careers. So today we're going to talk more about that. And make sure, please, if you enjoy this podcast, if you find some value in it, give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe. Share it with somebody.
5 stars on any podcast thing you're listening to.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us get this out there. And we're a new company still, so we need all the help we can get. So we appreciate that. And we also want to let you know that we have a free trial going on our site right now. So if you want to know about careers and figure out which one would be right for you, you can visit us at h4rl.com. and do the free trial and see what all's in there. It's really helpful stuff.
Absolutely. Or if you know somebody who would like to use it, please tell them about it as well. All right. So as Joe said, a lot of people actually want to have purpose in their jobs. Actually, a recent survey by McKinsey & Company found out that 70% of Americans, 70% want to be able to actually find purpose through their careers. They feel like the careers, their job is really where they're going to find their sense of purpose.
Well, you spend so much time at your job.
Agreed.
I mean, even when you're not at your job, you're often doing things related to your job. So it's huge.
Now, I would say, I think that's great. I think a lot of people want to find their purpose through their careers, but that's not the only way. I want to state that right off the bat. There's lots of other ways you can find purpose in your life through your family, through your church, through different kind of organizations you volunteer through. Lots of ways to find purpose, but apparently a lot of people find that through their job is the primary way that they want to find purpose in life. So, with that being said, there's a lot of other kind of movements out there right now. So there's a movement out there called the FIRE movement, which I believe stands for Live Frugally, Invest Your Money, Retire Early, which I'm all for, by the way. I think the first two are great ideas, like live frugally, well within your means, don't spend more money than you have, and take the money you do save and invest it. That's great financial advice, right?
Right.
The retire
Smart.
early, I get it, because, why would not go off and enjoy life and take these trips and have a vacation? I know there's some different variations of that movement, by the way. It's not all about just retiring and do whatever you want. There's, some people working part-time jobs to also do things. I'm not going to get into all that, but
I want to go on vacation.
Yeah, I want to go on vacation too, all the time. Sounds great. But
Let's go.
Exactly. But I kind of want to take a step back and think of bigger picture here from a society standpoint. Part of having a career that you enjoy and that suits your strengths is also so you can give back to society. I really do think that is. We need doctors. We need good teachers, right? We need construction workers to build our roads. We need pilots to be able to fly our planes when we go to different places, to go on vacations, right? Or work travel. There's all kinds of people who do jobs. Actually, most jobs, I really say, help contribute to society so we can all function. There's actually a guy out there, the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy. I listen to some of his podcasts sometimes. And he actually said one time he thinks everybody should own their own business, right? Own real estate so you don't have to work for someone else. Well, the problem is not everybody can actually work for someone else because we all can't have our own businesses because we all need people to work for us. He owns he said he owns I think a gold mine and also an oil mine and some real estate. Well, he has to have people, working those mines for him to have that job. So it doesn't really add up, so you got to take some things with a grain of salt. Owning your own company is a great idea, but I want to take a step back and think about this in a bigger picture standpoint, right? Actually finding a career out there that you're good at, that fits your strengths, that you're interested in, but can also possibly have a bigger purpose where you actually are giving back to society a little bit, your own skills, right? I think we all have unique strengths and interests that help us become uniquely good at certain type of careers. And what if that career then lined up with something that you actually were passionate about as far as making a difference in this world? Not just being some YouTube influencer out there who's basically just making stupid videos making everybody laugh, but actually contributing, making...
Well, laughing's important.
Laughing's important. In terms of entertainment is important.
Some greater purpose, greater meaning.
Right. There's a lot of problems out there in the world, and there's a lot of things, a lot of need, right? Be able to help people who don't have food to have food, or people who are elderly who need help with healthcare to help them out.
Right. So not only is it benefiting others, but it's giving you motivation, a reason to keep doing this every day.
Right. So, like I said, people actually want to find their purpose in their career. So I kind of want to take a little series here and do some work, do some podcasts on making your life count, right? Finding that not everybody has to do this, but for a lot of you out there, you might want to consider finding a career that actually has a bigger purpose to it, like something that you're really passionate about and doing something like that. Matter of fact, I found this article on CNBC that showed like a lot of people who work for these big tech companies like Google and stuff like that, who are making really good money, have great perks, great jobs, like most everybody wants to work for it. They're realizing that there's a lot more to life than just working and making that kind of money. They actually want to go off, and their passion is the climate, right? They really want to make a difference in the environment in combating climate change.
At least the people highlighted in this article.
In this article, exactly.
So they're leaving those companies in order to do that.
Exactly. They're leaving these very high-paying jobs to go work for a lot less money, to go do these things where they feel they're more passionate and actually making a difference in the world. The problem is they actually wondering, like, how in the world can I actually do environmental stuff with, like, computers, right?
Right.
That was a big question they had, but guess what? They actually found there was a problem out there.
They could solve.
That they could solve, right? They're really good at data, right? They're really good at handling lots of data and crunching numbers, because that's a lot what you do for these Google and Facebook and stuff like that. It's all handling all this data. Well, apparently in the environmental world, they have a lot of environmental, scientists who are good at studying the plants and the environment, but they were having trouble handling tons of data because they got all this data from satellites and all these different types of weather stuff they're looking at and soil samples. But how do you organize that and understand the patterns? Like, how actually can you break through all that data and figure out what are the real patterns and what really matters? Not just they weren't good at that.
Right, exactly. We watched those scientists that were studying the orcas off the coast of Washington, remember?
Right.
And they talked about that. They talked about, okay, yeah, it's great. We go out and we use these drones and we collect information on these whales. And then they're sitting there with data that takes them months and months to get through.
Right.
Yeah.
So these people say, hey, I'm really good at crunching lots and lots of data. So they actually are working for startups and these companies who are helping these environmental engineers and scientists understand what this data is really saying. So they're not making bad decisions or misinformed decisions. They're really trying to understand what are the trends, right? What's really impacting stuff and what isn't impacting stuff. So they're really good at that. So that's a great example, I think, of like how people who don't think they can necessarily work in a field that they wanted to do found a niche that you can. So if you want to work in the environment, let's say, you don't necessarily have to be like an environmental engineer. You can actually go into computers, but also then work in helping the environment if that's something that you're passionate about. Or you can find a way to help out animals. I'm sure they have lots of data they need crunched and stuff like that. So I'm not just trying to say, like, if your strength is in computers, but maybe you're passionate about the environment, there are ways you kind of make those kind of go together. Yeah. So I think that's a really great example of that. So I kind of wanted us to really focus, and I think the next couple podcasts we're going to try to talk about, we've already done a couple on like careers that make an impact, which are pretty much the same type of stuff. But like solving some big problems and actually making your career. Think about your career of actually making an impact. A guy, I read his book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. That's a very good book. I recommend you reading it. Actually, I believe the Library of Congress says it's the top 10 book for youth to read, by the way. He's a Jew that was actually in the Nazi concentration camps and survived it, obviously, but then he also became a psychiatrist afterwards and helped people, have mental problems. But his big point in life was the main purpose of meaning is learning to find meaning outside yourself, in a greater cause or in other people. That's what the book kind of comes to the conclusion of. And he tells a lot of stories of people he counseled. One particular story I like to kind of talk about is he talked about he had a large counseling session, right? There was lots of people talking about that they're depressed with their life and stuff like that. And he heard one woman talk about who was very well off, very rich. Her husband, I think, died when she was relatively young, so then she was able to remarry later on, but remarried very rich. And she basically got to do everything she wanted to do. She got to travel, she got to find some restaurants, she got basically to do anything she wanted to do. A great life towards the end of her life, but she's still very depressed. So she had basically to do that, retire early, but she didn't have to work so hard. She's basically married into money, and she got to retire early and live life and travel and do whatever she wanted to do. And there's another woman there who's very depressed, but she had a very different life. Basically, she had 2 children, and one of them, the healthy one, actually died when they were young, both in the teens. I mean, he had 12 or 10 or something like that. She also had a son with a severe disability. So she had to spend her entire life looking after her disabled son. She was kind of depressed at the end of her life, in this counseling session, thinking like, I had all these dreams for my life. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see things. I wanted to do other things in my life, but I had to spend all my time taking care of my oldest child. But then he realized like how much joy, he helped her realize how much joy he brought to her oldest child's life by doing that. And his point was, he asked both women, who do you think actually had a well-lived life? And the one woman who had everything she wanted said, I guess after looking back, my life wasn't very well lived. But the one woman who actually was, couldn't do everything she wanted to, but she spent her whole life taking after her oldest child, said, even though I didn't get to do the things I wanted to do. He tells the story much better than I'm saying right now, by the way. It's a very good story. But basically she got to say, I guess my life actually did have purpose. My life was meaningful because I got to help my child who, if I would have not done that, he probably would have gone to the institution and he would have had a much worse life than this. Mm-hmm. So I just want to encourage you. Like, there's a lot of great stories like that in there, by the way. It's a very good book. I recommend reading it. It's for older teens for sure. It's a kind of hard because he talks about his experiences in the concentration camp. But he learned to live, and I think that's something that we need to understand. When you're looking at your career, by the way, don't just think about how can I make the most money and how can I make it just right for me so I can retire and do whatever I want to do, but how can you give back? Because I really think that that's part of having a meaningful life and living a meaningful career is that be able to give back to society some of the gifts that you have been given.
And that story...
Excuse us.
We're having a thunderstorm.
We both kind of got shocked by that one.
Ah!
Right.
No, but that story brings up just a really good exercise you can attempt to do. You can't really, at the beginning of your life, imagine what it would be to look back, but you can try. And I think that's really beneficial, when you're thinking about making one of these big choices, like your career, to kind of imagine, okay, let's say I walk down this path and I make these choices. Then when I'm looking back, what am I going to think about that? How am I really going to feel about it? And it just gives a new perspective and can help shed light in ways you might not have thought of before.
And I think, I want to be clear, the FIRE movement is kind of against like just trying to work that job and just work the 9-to-5 job. And they're talking about being financial independent. And I'm all for that, by the way. I think it's great that you need to be able to have some financial independence and not be a slave to your work where you have to work to make ends meet. I think all that's right and good. I'm just saying, take a bigger picture, and actually, I know people who found purpose in their careers, who really enjoyed their careers, and they worked until they're 70 years old. But yeah, it was hard some days, don't get me wrong, it's still work, but they enjoyed what they did, and they were making an impact. And I think that they found when they retired, even at the age of 70, they lost some of that sense of purpose of being able to make an impact in life a little bit.
That can be hard.
Right.
I think one thing, I don't know if you've mentioned, a positive for the FIRE movement. I mean, you could go and make lots of money early on, save it, get yourself set, and then that gives you more time and freedom to go and make an impact in a way that you'd really like to do. So that is one possibility. You don't have to just retire early on the beach.
Right.
If you're not able to find the purpose in the job that you're doing a long time, you could make the money and then have the freedom to do that.
And the same was true for the people who were in the tech companies. They worked at these tech companies and made lots of money. Yeah. Basically, they were getting themselves financially set, so then they could take that pretty big pay cut and still be financially secure and do those jobs. So there is an impact of finances in life, and we talk about this in our career course, by the way. We actually talk about purpose and careers and strength, and we help try to find not just the right career for you, but help you understand like the right types of companies and jobs to go after, because like you said, you can get this one type of career, which is tech, but working for two different companies is very different, right? So anyway, come check us out at h4rl.com if you are interested at all in our career exploration. By the way, you can also go there and contact us directly by going to the contact page and send us an email if there's any kind of jobs you want us to look into, by the way, or if you just had general thoughts, or you can put comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. We'll look at those. We love to get feedback so we know how to kind of make these what you guys want. So, yeah, again, if you found anything good out of this, please give us a thumbs up. Give us, like us, share us, tell people about us. All those good things. Again, we're trying to get this out there. And we should be having some podcasts coming up here talking about some more careers out there that can make a big impact. And so, until next time, I'm Dave.
And Jill, thanks so much.